Welcome to the Stacey A. Cross Show. I am Stacey A. Cross. There's no E in my name. Every Friday at 8 a.m., I'll be coming through. We're talking health, we're talking wealth, and we're talking happiness. I'm a believer of freedom, personal growth, and your journey to success. So go ahead and share, subscribe, listen to this show, because it's going to be an amazing one. As always, you can find me at www.thecomfortkillers.com. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go. Hey, great morning, Comfort Killers. I am Stacey A. Cross. There is no E in my name. Thank you so much for listening, tuning in, subscribing to another episode of the Stacey A. Cross Show. Couple things before we get into it. Happy Friday. As you know, every Friday I drop another megaton bomb, okay, on you in terms of this audio experience that I deliver to you. Today is August 3rd, and it is already a beautiful day here in Philadelphia. History in Philadelphia. I want to send a shout out to a few people. One being my comfort killer from a long time, my boy, Thelonious C. Jones. Thelonious is doing a big thing. I mean, actually stepping outside of all sorts of comfort zones. You know, this thing that we're doing, and you're going to actually get to experience that later on this month. I'm going back to Atlanta, where Theo is, and we're going to really put on for ourselves and our business. But this thing is so huge that it's got us a little nervous. So we're looking over the data, we're looking over the potentials, but we wouldn't be in this position if we were scaredy cats, right? Not being able to take risks for ourselves, our lives, and our business. And some of these risks go against conventional wisdom. And just so you know, conventional wisdom also applies to, yes, your favorite gurus telling you it's also conventional wisdom. When people say, hey, listen, you know what? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just keep doing this. Or, you know, they have their principles. They have their guidelines. They share those things. And I'm a comfort killer. So I'm like, shit, if this is not going to work, why don't I do it this way? Okay. What's stopping you? I sat with someone and, damn, did I explain this already? I think last week I told you guys a little story about, oh no, I actually did it on a video. That reminds me, go to my YouTube channel, because I plop in a video probably every other day on YouTube, sometimes live, and then it just recodes and decodes. But just go on the YouTube channel, check this video, because I talk about being told a lot of conventional wisdom, a lot of traditional things, you know, even in old industries, dinosaur industries, new industries, like let's say social media, marketing. That's sort of a new industry. Like, hell yeah, it is. I mean, 10, 20 years ago, the shit didn't exist. So it's definitely a new industry, but people already made their conventional wisdom align with that industry. So now you're doing A, B, C, D, just because it worked for some guy 10 years ago, you know, and you're like still following these templates. And I'm looking at it like I'm going to these old industries, let's say an industry like real estate. And the reason why that's on my head is because I just wrote a chapter in a book that again, this is another book. It's awesome. That's why I shout out Theo to begin with. But I just wrote a chapter, and I'm talking about, you know, kind of breaking industries and breaking into them and being sort of, you know, unorthodox in your style and being okay with that. Like, you don't have to follow a template, and that template may not work for you. So the information that we're getting, some of it, yes, it's true. Like you want to say the Bible is true. It's true like the Bible, okay? Like where these things are the guidelines for life, living good, feeling good, you know, doing the right thing, being ethical, and you feel it in your heart. So when someone jumps off the cliff with anger and frustration, and they're, you know, they want to kill everyone, you're like, well, you're not being ethical. You're not being okay. You're like an outsider to the society. Why? Because they based it off of thousands of years of this is how you should be living. Okay, I get that. In business, though, you have these new gurus popping up day after day. Matter of fact, you could say that about me. I don't consider myself a guru. What I do consider myself is, hey, I'm just that person that decided to get out of her comfort zone overcome gambling addiction and really change my life for the better. And in doing that, I created a business, and I have a set of philosophies and principles that are straight up like, go out there and go crush shit for yourself. Go out there and go do something, but you got to get out of your comfort zone. And I want people to really understand that piece of it, that you could stay comfortable, you could stay within these limits, but until you really push that out the threshold, you're not going to be able to attain really any of those goals that you want, because we've been comfortable. That's why we didn't attain them. Like, we've been a little scared of taking on responsibility, being the bigger person, being the hero, okay, being that person. So if you want to consider that being a guru, go right ahead. But for me, I'm trying to teach people how to do the same thing so they can feel good about their lives, so they can make a difference in their family, in their community. And also, man, so they can feel, I feel a joy out of this. When someone says, hey, Stace, what you taught me, or I watched you, or, I seen this thing and I learned this, I feel good about that. Like, there's some intrinsic, I know I just got it from that person, but I feel good about what I'm doing. This morning, I looked at my Instagram. If you don't have me on Instagram, get it, because I want to learn more about you and I want to see what you're doing. But, I put this thing about, setting your standards and sticking to them. And I created a video yesterday, and I really mean that, making a standard for yourself. Don't ever lowering your standards. Creating a label for yourself, because people are going to label you, and you're not going to have an opportunity to label yourself after they already labeled you. So why not you label yourself first? Why not you do it first and be the head of the curve, be the pioneer in labeling yourself, so you can give yourself whatever label you want. And this is an old friend from middle school. He commented and he said, hey, listen, you're absolutely right about, raising your standards. People need to realize this. Don't settle, not in relationships, your career, even with your children. Love how you attack life, man. I love that. It reminded me of a vicious old killer crossover. And I was like, what? So that made me feel good. And I know that people are out there and they need this. So, as you're building your own voice and as you're honing in on your own skills, I want you to know that you don't have to follow conventional wisdom, old ass strategies. You just don't. Today, I want to help you because I brought someone on. His name is McCormick. He is a CPA, and I want to help you get more money, keep more money in your pocket. Now, this is good for me too, because I have been kind of lazy at the fact of doing the boring things. And doing the boring things, yes, is every week writing down all my receipts, putting them in, making sure things are on the ledger, really keeping file of the business stuff, and then because at the end of the year, here come tax season, right? What happens? You scurry, try to rush and get all this stuff. You're hitting up all your accounts. You're printing out all these sheets since January 2018. And then guess what? You forget half of the things that you're actually doing. So my friend Mike today, he came on the show and he's going to crush it because he's going to show us things that we could do to keep more money in our pockets. The business owner, okay? The individual. Keep more money in, and little tools and tips and tricks of how we could actually stay on top of that. But not forgetting that if you don't understand this, because there is a document that the professionals will read and consistently learn upon and make sure that they're giving you the best advice. They're professionals. He's a CPA, and they will do the work for you. So you don't have to go crazy week after week, month after month. Listen to the question that he asks at the end, because it's very important. So whether you're looking for more deductions or you don't know, you're a sole proprietor, maybe you didn't get an LLC yet, you're looking to keep more money. How does this tax thing work? What are some tax deductions that I could keep? What are some advantages, loopholes? Loopholes. What are they? I mentioned in the interview, and you're going to hear here, hey, so what if I go on a vacation and I give my business card out? And he was like, well, you just went on a vacation, so it's not a business trip. I'm like, damn, shucks. But, you want to do things ethically, morally, and just. But at the end of the day, there are some rules of the game. And if you know the rules, you will be more than likely to keep money in your pocket, and you're doing it right. So you're out there hustling, you're out there grinding, you're creative, you want to start a business, you want to go close sales, close deals, you want to go bang on doors, knock on doors, cold calls, you want to put up content on YouTube, you want to put up content on Instagram, you're handing out ebooks, you're writing books, you're speaking, you're consulting, you're coaching, you're over here opening a pizza. You're doing it all, but I'm going to ask you this. Are you doing enough? Are you doing enough to keep more money in your pocket? Are you doing it right? Okay? Are you doing enough, and are you doing it right? Mike, let's go.
Sure. Well, I started out in private practice, meaning I worked in a business. So I got to see the business owners struggle with things like financing their inventory, their accounts receivables, all that stuff. I've been in the trenches and worked in the business with the business owner, and then I decided I need to get back into public accounting. So in 2001, I got into public accounting, and I started my own firm in 2010. So I've been self-employed since 2010, and last year I joined forces with another CPA here in Cincinnati, and we changed both of our company names to Financial Clarity Group. And what we do is help business owners keep more of what they make, what they earn, by helping them find discounts in the tax code that apply to their situation. There's all kinds of stuff in the tax code. Everybody knows that it's, depending on who you talk to, 19,000 pages or so. There's something in there for everyone. It's not all bad. Most people think everything in there is bad. So what we do is have a conversation with the business owner to find out more about not just their business, but their personal life. What are the things going on in their life that we might be able to help them maybe move from an after-tax dollar to a pre-tax dollar? Anything you pay out of your personal checkbook is an after-tax dollar. But is there a way we can move that to a pre-tax dollar, more or less like a business expense? And anytime you do that, you win. So let's say one of my favorite examples is soccer cleats. There's no line on the tax return for soccer cleats, right? But a lot of parents have kids that are playing soccer or football or band camp or football camp, whatever it might be. What if there were a way that you could treat that as a business expense? Well, there's no real way to do that as a business expense itself, but what if we can hire our kid, put them on the payroll, now we can pay them up to $12,000 a year. They don't pay any income tax on that. We've just paid them to do something in our business. We're going to give them money anyway, right? So now the money's in their bank account. Let them pay for their soccer cleats. Let them pay for their summer camp. Haven't we just deducted the things we're going to pay for anyway?
Wow. See, when you look at it, you don't even look. I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, I wouldn't even have thought of that. But I guess this is what you do to help business owners out. And there's so many examples like that, right?
That's exactly right. Whether it's soccer cleats, or maybe it's braces for your kid, or chiropractor, or the list could go on and on. And one of my favorite questions to ask people when I do a presentation is, if you could, what is the one thing that you wish you could find a way to deduct? And it's the answers are all over the place, but, there's probably a way to do it legally, morally, and ethically, but we just have to find out more about your situation to find the way to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And, as a new business owner a couple years ago, putting everything in place, I was approached by a couple accountants, and it kind of scared me off. Do you find that new business owners, we just want to get in, we want to get our hands dirty, we didn't really make any revenue yet, so we don't find any real value in hiring an accountant or a CPA to handle our initials or to get us in that mindset? Do you find that that's a common mistake with
I think it's it's an extremely common mistake. You need a team of advisors. It might be an accountant, it might be your banker, it might be an attorney, it might be an insurance person. But you need those people to bounce ideas off of. Make sure you're covering the things that you're not thinking about, the black swan that you haven't thought of, but that's out there that could hurt you. And that team of advisors should be there to help you. From the tax standpoint, we don't necessarily know everything that's going on in your life until you tell us. I love the name of your show, The Comfort Killers, in your company, because I guess the idea is to get people out of their comfort zone and do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. And that's what tax planning is. Tax planning is a spectator sport. You need to get in the game and tell your advisors what's going on so that they can help you formulate a strategy to keep more money in your pocket rather than Uncle Sam's.
Right. And, I have a personal accountant now. And one of the questions, he's like, hey, let's get on a monthly call. So you could just keep me updated on what's going on in your life and your business. And I found that initially when he told me that, I was like, what do you mean my life,
Right,
and
right.
come to find out. And he gave me an awesome idea when I spoke to him the last time. He's like, you know what, I would, advise to do this thing and really, we could really make it benefit you at the end of the year. And I was like, wow, I just had a plain old conversation. Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And so I really find value in that. But I was one of the ones that made a bit of a mistake, and we all do, and we learn from them. And there was a lot of money left on the table. So I'm going to ask, because I know a lot of people out there are thinking, hey, we have this expert on, why don't we figure out where we could pull money from? Let's say, I love what you said a little earlier. You said, hey, individuals own businesses, because I was, just kind of say, hey, do we focus on individuals or do we focus on businesses? But behind the desk, the doors, is an individual there. So
that's right.
What are some of the benefits or the advantages, deductions, money being left on the table? I'm a small startup. I just want to do this online thing, and I think that's where it gets kind of twisted, this online thing, that we leave on the table, car note, our home office, all these things. What are some of the benefits and deductions we leave on the table off the top that we could actually have a benefit or an advantage for, put more money in our pocket?
Sure. One of the presentations I do is called the 9.5 mistakes business owners make that cost them thousands. And some of the easy things, the easy ones that they miss. One is not doing any planning at all. That's the easy one. Most people sit back, they don't do anything. You got to get in the game. You got to engage the professional to do some tax planning. The second one would be not taking advantage of the easy things. Your business mileage. How many people track their mileage? If they track it, they're probably not deducting it, and most people aren't tracking it anyway. That's an easy one. That's a given. Meals. If you're taking someone out to lunch or coffee, those are opportunities to keep track of those items and deduct them. They should all that stuff should go through your business books, your business checking account, not your personal account. That way you have a record inside the business of everything you spent money on. That's another easy one. Bookkeeping. Most business owners are horrible about just plain old bookkeeping. If you have a record of everything that goes through your business checking account, you have a record of all your expenses. That bookkeeping is right at the top of the easy things. The other one would be a little more complicated, and that has to do with their business entity. Are they operating as a sole proprietor, an LLC, a single member LLC, an S corporation, or a C corporation? Each of those entities has its benefits and its problems. We have to find the right business entity, or as I say in my business, you might need a stable of entities depending on what's going on. You might have sole proprietor business for one piece of your business, an S corporation for another. You might have rental properties in an LLC. You might have a C corporation for your employee benefits so that you can write off things like all of your medical costs, not just your insurance, but your chiropractor, your eyeglasses, your hearing aids, anything like that is an employee benefit could go through a C corporation and deduct all of it. So a stable of entities might be something that people are missing, and divvying up or breaking up the pieces of their business into different entities.
Wow, lots of gold in there. Can we take a step back and go into the LLC, the benefits, the sole proprietorship, the S corps? I love what you said, because I never thought about that, kind of dividing and slicing your business up into different entities.
Sure, absolutely. So if you think about most entrepreneurs, they have many different, or at least a few different sources of income. Each of those sources of income could potentially, and has the possibility of being its own business entity. Maybe I'll just use you as an example, not knowing the background, but let's say your podcast is an S corporation, and you did that so that you could limit the amount of your income that's subject to self-employment tax. But maybe you also have rental properties. So you have an LLC that handles one or more of the rental properties, and the income that comes from that activity is not subject to SE tax either. Maybe you have a management company that manages your rental properties and your podcast in a C corporation. So the C corporation you're an employee of, but maybe it pays you in non-taxable benefits like a medical expense reimbursement plan. So you can set up a situation where you're deducting essentially as non-taxable compensation all of your medical costs. Okay, now don't get me wrong. This complicates your situation, and it's not for everyone. But it is part of the tax planning tools that are out there that allow a business owner to structure their business in a way that is the most tax efficient. I think it was Chief Justice Rehnquist said something to the effect of, there's nothing that prevents someone from arranging their tax affairs in the most efficient manner for them. There's nothing that requires them to pay more income tax, something to that effect. That's paraphrased, but badly paraphrased at that.
Yeah, no,
but you get the idea. If you have multiple streams of income, you can have multiple entities.
I love that. Now, and I know you work with many different clients in fields, and so you're seeing it all, and you kind of probably not one case is the same. Again, guys, we're talking to Mike McCormick from Financial Clarity Group, based in Cincinnati, but worldwide as far as providing value for his clients. And we're talking about tax benefits, tax advantages, and how to keep more money in the individual's pocket at the end of the year. One thing that we did to open up the show was talk about when is it a good time to tax plan. Like I said earlier, I spent some time with it on a month. I could definitely do a better job with it. But it's one thing, that boring thing that entrepreneurs don't. We're too creative. We don't want to do that. And we wait till the end of the year. And by that time, we're playing catch up, and we really forget half of the things that happened in the year that could benefit us in keeping more money in our pockets. But one thing that I want to help entrepreneurs out. And when we say entrepreneurs, most of us don't even got an LLC, right? We call ourselves hustlers, and we don't have a lawyer. We never actually got incorporated. Right. So it's kind of a shame. And then that's why I like bringing light such as this to the environment as well as the atmosphere, just to make sure we're on top of our game. So if we were, if I was interested in coming to Mike McCormick, and I'm all over the place. We got a podcast here. We have a blog. We got some income. We got on a membership site. I don't have an LLC yet, and I really am interested in taking it to the next level as a business owner, as being able to get my tax advantages and everything. Really taking it to the next level. Could you take me through the client relationship with you as far as,
Sure.
First? Yeah, that'll help us out.
Sure. So most of the time what happens is someone is referred to us, or they hear us at a speaking program or something along those lines, something like Comfort Killers, They will either call our phone number. The number is 513-488-1121, or they'll go to the website, and there's a link there to schedule a time to have an informal conversation about their situation. If we determine that there are some opportunities there where we can help, we would schedule a more in-depth analysis of their situation. We'd send them a questionnaire that's probably 15 pages long. We'd ask for copies of their tax returns, their brokerage statements, all their financial stuff. It's the stuff that you really don't want to turn over to someone until you're comfortable with them and think that they're going to be able to help. So we're going to ask for a whole lot of information, and we're going to do a cursory review of that, and again confirm that we're going to be able to help. We would then suggest a fee to do a tax plan, and that fee could be anywhere from $500 to $10,000, depending on how complex and how difficult their situation might be. And then once we're engaged to do the tax plan, we would actually put together the steps and the discounts and the strategies that we want them to, or suggest that they put into place. We then have a meeting and go over those strategies to determine which ones they're comfortable with, which ones they're ready to implement, which ones might be for the future. And then from that point, they may engage us to help do the implementation. Here in Ohio, for example, we can't form entities, so we would engage an attorney to form an LLC or a corporation as we suggested. But there are a lot of things that we can help them implement. Bookkeeping, automating all that stuff. It might be setting up a medical expense reimbursement plan. Whatever the strategies are that we can implement, we'll help them do that, and we would charge a fee to do that. Once we're beyond the implementation stage, we would suggest a professional service agreement where we spell out the ongoing services we're going to perform on their behalf, what their responsibilities are to help us do that, and we would charge a monthly fee going forward. That includes unlimited access, and really the value in that is the access to us. It's not the tax return. A lot of people get hung up on the document itself. The tax return is the result of the planning. We should have a pretty good idea of how that tax return is going to play out throughout the year, not just on April 15th when it's time to file a return. But the more important thing is the access to us throughout the year. Unlimited emails, unlimited phone calls, so that you can pick up the phone and call us to keep us in the game with you so that we know what's going on in your life. The worst thing that can happen is something happens in your life, some question comes up that has a financial ramification, and which questions don't have a financial ramification, and you don't call your professional. So you do something that could have been handled in a slightly different way and saved thousands of dollars. So you got to pick up the phone, you got to call your professional. We want that to be built in. We don't want you to be second-guessing yourself. Should I call Mike because I'm going to get a bill? Well, just pick up the phone and call Mike. It's already built in. So always call.
That's great stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, again, I made the mistake very early on. I didn't go about it. I kind of shied away from the accountant. And I'll tell you what, if you think that you're in a real business and you don't have things formed, you don't have advisors by your side, you can't pick up the phone and state something that's going on in your business life, well, I don't think you have a real business. Now, this is the part that no one really wants to talk about, but I encourage this communication because, again, we run off into our business lives and we're really not doing it the right way. One thing that I love about Donald Trump, and this is against, all politics aside, one thing I love was the way he always found ways to keep more money in his pocket. I read a book. I forget the book's name right now. It's missing me. But the way he was able to beat the system, so to speak. Yeah. And we're doing it ethically, morally, and we're not really cheating the system. We're just beating the system. We're working with the system, understanding what's there. I'm not reading that. What did you say? How many pages was that discount code?
Oh, the tax code is, the book of discounts, the Internal Revenue Code, 19,000 or so pages.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. So what we have to do, we have to go to a trusted advisor, a professional that works on our behalf and make sure that we are getting our best interest looked after and taken care of. So, I want to thank you for actually going out there and investing your time and helping others in their business, making sure that they're getting the return that they need. One thing that I wanted to ask is, what do you think the skills? A CPA, I just look at it and I'm like, man, damn, you must be like cracking the calculator all day, or, but what are some, I don't know what it is, but what do you think the top 3 skills are that a CPA or accountant, a financial advisor must have? And you could say the skills you have.
Well, I've never been asked that question before. I think the first one is probably some compassion for the individual, because people make mistakes and they don't want to make mistakes, but they've made them, and let's just figure out a way to make it work and fix it. The other is the willingness to think outside the box, and part of that is continuing education. A lot of my colleagues look at continuing education as a necessary evil. They look for the least cost way to get to fulfill their requirements. I'm always looking for the best source of information. I spend thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours going to the places where I can talk to the expert in the field and figure out how to apply their information to my clients. Those are two really big ones. Being willing to take a call from a client and help them on the spur of the moment. We try to help clients immediately. Sometimes our schedule doesn't allow that, but to at least get back to a client in a reasonable amount of time. No more than a day. Just to let them know that we're on their side. We'll be able to help them work through whatever the issue is. So those are three pretty big ones, I would say.
Awesome. And one question that I had, this is a personal question. What do you think? What are some tools that the entrepreneur, the individual can actually start using? Maybe something like a FreshBook. I don't know. Like what is that tool?
There's a bunch of them out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stacey, there are a bunch of them out there.
Yeah.
And my suggestion is find one that works for you, and just start using it. If you don't want to do the work, and one of the mistakes that business owners make is that they try to do things that they're not an expert in.
Right.
I'll use real estate agents as an example. A real estate agent is great at marketing, working with their client all the way through to the contract. Once the contract is signed, they get the check, their business falls apart. So they need to engage someone like a CPA or a bookkeeper to actually keep track of the back side of their business, the bookkeeping stuff. So if you don't want to do it, or if you don't have time to do it, or you're not good at it, there are people out there that will do it. And part of our professional service agreement is that we'll do that for you. We'll take care of the bookkeeping stuff, so you don't have to think about it. It's just done. So whether it's FreshBooks, QuickBooks, Xero, whatever the tool is, we can adapt to any of them that you might want to use. But if you're going to use it yourself, find one that you're comfortable with and you're actually going to use. You're actually going to put the data in there.
Awesome. Now, what are some things that we should start tracking right away? No matter if we're new entrepreneurs or we haven't been doing a good, fantastic job at this, but what are some things that you find are common to? Yeah.
The big one is mileage.
Mileage.
You start tracking mileage. It's the second question that's asked when a taxpayer's tax return is reviewed. How did you determine what the auto expense was? If you have a mileage log, you're gold. If you don't have the mileage log, you're going to lose probably thousands of dollars worth of expense that you took on your return. It's an easy one. You can use an app like MileIQ. It starts tracking the minute you load it. It's a fabulous tool. It was just bought by Microsoft a couple of years ago. I think it's mileiq.com, I believe. I don't make any money on it. It's
I use that.
I use, and it's a great tool. That's an easy one. You mentioned home office earlier. The home office deduction applies to single-member LLCs and sole proprietors specifically. You can estimate how much your utilities are and your insurance and that kind of stuff to come up with your home office deduction. If you're operating as a corporation, corporations don't take a home office deduction, but what they can do is reimburse the business owner. So you can keep track of the home office stuff throughout the year and take the same calculation, the percentage of the office to the total square footage, whatever that percentage is, those are the expenses, and have the corporation write you a check to reimburse you for those expenses. It's not taxable to the business owner or the shareholder, but it's a business expense to the company.
And what if I say to you, Mike, I'm going on a vacation next month, and I'm just going to drop off my business cards at a few places there?
Yeah, there's a couple problems with that. One is you called it a vacation.
There I go.
It was a business trip.
Yep.
So it's all about how the presentation, right? So it's a business trip.
Yeah.
The other thing is that you have to look at the reason for the trip. You know, if the trip is primarily for business, I just had a client ask me this. They were going to the Caymans, I think. You know, the purpose of the trip, if it's personal, then the trip is you're not going to be able to deduct it as business. Now, if you conduct some business while you're there, you have a meeting with a colleague or lunch, those are obviously business expenses. But if the primary purpose of the trip is recreation, then it's the travel costs and that are going to be personal. Now, if you have to go, let's say you travel to Orlando or something and go see the mouse, and you need to take a day trip over to Tampa for to meet with a colleague, and you're going to spend the night over there, that portion of the trip would be business. But you have to kind of break it up into segments.
Right. No, I get that. And what about education? You know, we go to a lot. We keep our education flowing: seminars, workshops, intensives. What could we do with those?
Education in general is going to be a business expense. Now, there's an exception. If the education prepares you for a new profession, then it would not be deductible. So, for example, if I went to law school to become an attorney, the law school cost would not be a business expense for my CPA firm because it's a new occupation, a new profession. Okay. So,
I get it.
For example, if you wanted to go get your real estate agent license, the cost for the school would not be deductible. But as soon as you got your certificate, anything after that becomes a business expense because, ta-da, you're a business owner.
I get it. Definitely get that. Awesome. So describe a time, you know, for me or with a client as much as you could tell us right now. I just really want to get into the meat of what you do when you were able to really decrease or increase the money back into someone's pocket, an entrepreneur, individual, business owner, whatever. Give us a time of that maybe and help us understand how that goes.
Sure. How about a mini case study? I have a client who's a real estate agent, a high-performing agent. He's generating about $225,000 in net income, okay, after expenses. His spouse is an MD, a physician, in working for one of the hospitals here in Cincinnati. So in doing the tax planning process, we were able to show him how to restructure his business from a sole proprietor to become an S corporation, and that step alone saved him about $13,000 that first year, and each year after that. We've shown them how to defer almost his entire net income into a defined benefit plan, so that none of that, about $200,000, none of that shows up on their personal income tax return and it is not taxable. So that's another probably $40,000 in tax each year that they fund the defined benefit plan. We've shown them how to use a charitable easement process to save $100,000 in additional charitable contributions based on a $25,000 partnership interest. The list can go on and on for that particular client, but I think we're up to about $60,000 to $70,000 in tax savings each year that they implement and do the steps that we talked about. Okay. Sometimes clients don't do what we suggest because they've never heard of it before. So it's part of the 9 things that I talk about. It's being willing to think outside the box, and sometimes people are more conservative to their detriment than they need to be, but so that's just how it goes sometimes. But every year that this particular client does the things that we talked about, the defined benefit plan, the charitable easement, those are an additional $40,000 to $50,000 in tax savings each year. Now, I can't guarantee that for every taxpayer, but if you're generating anywhere from, let's say, $40,000 net income, that's after expenses and up, there are probably some tax savings discounts that will apply to your situation, and you can probably save a few $1,000s each year minimum. What can you do with that?
That's a big chunk.
What could you do with what could you do with a couple $1,000s? You could go ahead and take that vacation. You could take a couple extra days off. You could pay off some debt. There are a lot of things I can do with it.
Yeah, I wish I could take some days off, but yeah, it sounds good. But yeah, that's tons. You know what I mean? It definitely, especially when you're looking at it and you're looking at it objectively, and you're like, okay, this is great, but I'm sure that real estate agent, when you set the plan and work the plan and it's really happening, and you're able to take that chunk and put it back, it's just amazing at that time. That's why I love my accountant, because every time I go there, every time I talk to him, there's something else that we need to work with the potential to bring back some benefits. So this is awesome. So you mentioned a lot of real estate, in it. Is that your primary audience there, your clients?
No. Well, I have a bit of a niche with real estate agents. We've developed some continuing education programs for them. But our practice is pretty wide-ranging. We have manufacturing, we have real estate, we have distribution. We have a pretty diverse clientele, and all of those can have benefited from tax planning.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about your personal development and how you continue to get out of your comfort zone on a monthly, yearly. How do you push yourself, Mike?
Sure. Like I said, I'm self-employed, so that's getting out of my comfort zone.
That's it right there. That's it. We can just stop right there. Yeah.
That is a big change for somebody to take that step and go on their own. I'm also a financial advisor, and I go to training every quarter, and it's that training has turned into more of personal development than financial types of training. It's really pushing us to get out of our own way, and I go to education programs not just on tax and tax planning, but pretty wide ranging. One that I'm trying to get on my schedule right now is the Landmark Forum. The closest one is in Detroit, and we'll probably get that done in November, I think, is when I was going to go up there. But I'm looking for programs that are going to expand my horizon so I can help more people.
I love that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I love Comfort Killers. I love lifelong learners. I think, we're like-minded individuals, and we have some attraction there. But also, I love people that just invest their time into helping others and really benefiting the lives of others in their businesses, things that we're unable to see or we're too stubborn to really do. It's laid out to us in an easier format, in an easier way. So if you have any questions for Mike, send them in. You can send them in to me, but I would encourage you to go over to the website, get a consultation, and start getting that check on your business, check on yourself, and get into the lane where it makes sense. I think we've been pushing, we've been walking up a hill. When there's an easier path down the road, there's an easy path and it's paved, but we choose to go run in the jungle. Why? Because there's little steps that we need to take, take the stress off yourself, put it on the professional, put it on Mike. Give Mike all the stress. You don't have to worry about that, but I would encourage you to go to financialclaritygroup.com, get your schedule, get your consultation with Mike, and just really start putting a pulse on your money, pulse on your business. That's what a real business owner is. It's not just running around here going crazy, wild in the muck. It's a real business to make sure your financial planning, your tax advantage, your tax saving, everything is in order before the tax season. So thank you so much, Mike. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we go?
Do you mind if I ask your listeners a question?
Absolutely.
You kind of answered the question earlier, but the question that people need to ask themselves to really think about this is, when was the last time your tax professional called you with an idea that would save you money? When was the last time?
Wow.
Now, it sounds like your person is more on the ball. But my guess is that most people haven't heard from their tax professional except for January through April, and that's unfortunate.
True.
And that's the wrong time of year to really be contacting them anyway. But when was the last time? Think about that.
That's a very powerful question, because now I'm like, it's been a couple months. I didn't hear from mine, but But I can understand that you're right, and you're absolutely right about that. I mean, I don't even start seeing, the Statue of Liberty guy on the corner, waving the banner. Everyone worries about that when it's time. And that's what we need to get out of the habit of, is put this stuff at the forefront, but also, who do you have on your team? Who do you have on your team that's looking out for your best interest? So that's awesome that, Financial Clarity Group does put that person first, put the individual first, and ensure that they're still working, they're still learning, they're still making sure things are being done in the back end, and so that you could go out and really handle your business with a peace of mind. And thank you so much, Mike McCormick, again. Again, website, Financial Clarity Group.
Hey, I just thought of a new segment that I'm going to do starting right now, where I call my main guy, Theo, and see if he picks up and gives us a good word of the day. So here goes nothing.
Yo.
Hey, Theo, live on the podcast. I just figured that I'm going to start this new segment. I know you dropped in the last time, and I thought it was good shit because you're ready. You're always ready to go. So give us a good word of the day today. You're live on the Stacey A. Cross Show.
That's a very good question. I would have to say for today, it's man, I forgot what I said last time, but I don't want to say the same thing. But I would say for today is just really, for me, it's focusing on the. There's a lot of BS, for lack of word. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of bad communication. And I just think you got to focus on that little 20% of individuals that you have that solid communication with, and look at what makes that communication solid, enjoyable, effective, efficient, all of the above, and figure out how you can try to spread that in other parts of your life with other communications that's not going as well. And then the ones that's not going well, figure out, hey, do I just need to get rid of this communication situation, for lack of a better word, or can it be fixed? Can I improve it with some of these techniques? Because I feel like this day and age, it's just it's harder to communicate with people. I don't know how to explain this. I would say like on an even playing field, for lack of a better word. It's very hard for me to explain this, and I don't have an example off the top of my head. But basically, I just like when me and you communicate, Stacey, we know when to call, we know when to email, we know when to text. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like, oh shit, now I got to, you know what I mean? It's you. We know. So how do you figure that out with people? We know, hey, I'm busy. Let me give you a call back. This, that, whatever it is. Versus another individual. Hey, I'm gonna call you back. Then they email you 3 days later. Obviously, that's not effective. That's not what you're obviously calling them. So that's what I'm saying, is knowing what communication to use when, and how to use that effectively and efficiently with everyone in your life, business, personal, family, the whole nine.
Boom. You heard it. Hey, Theo, thank you. Some days I'm going to call and you're not going to pick up, and we're just going to roll with it like that, live and unfiltered and just raw things that's just on top of your head. And I think that's real because a lot of people don't do it like us. So we just got to put it out real. Thank you so much for answering my call. I'll call you later, man. Have a good day.
Yes. Peace.
So there you have it. That's going to be a new segment where I call Theo. And we don't know what he's going to say. Some days he may say something as profound as today. And other days he may just not even pick up. So that's the part of the beauty of the Stacey A. Cross Show. And just to give you another brief announcement, starting next week, a whole different approach of the show is taking place. I know I've been fiddling around with the show and making it the best that I want it to be. And I realized, man, I'm a creative head. And I'm in your face. And I really love fun and really how you get the point across. So hope you're going to love it because I'm not changing it. This is going to happen. I'm going to have a guest host. Yes, a guest host. And it's going to be a girl. So you know what they say, statistics rise when it's a female. So hopefully you're going to enjoy that. And I'm going to catch you later. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Remember, go ahead and hit my boy Mike up, Mike McCormick, and let him handle your stuff, man. Don't take it off of yourself. If you're not doing it, get right and start doing your taxes. Start preparing for your taxes, okay? Preparation happens way before tax season comes, and that date, April 15th, that dreaded date where we all go crazy and go back in our files and on our PayPal. Hey, enjoy the rest of your day. Remain uncomfortable. Thecomfortkillers.com is where you can catch me. I am Stacey A. Cross, and there is no E in mine. You've just listened to a episode of the Stacey A. Cross Show. You can subscribe and get more episodes on my website, StaceyACross.com, and my company's website, TheComfortKillers.com. As always, you can get me on all my social media at Stacey A. Cross. Go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you next week. I am.